Everyone wishes to live their best life. We experiment with various ways to achieve that, whether it is through study, competing, finding a partner, working hard, or admiring someone who inspires you. It is the quality of our inner being that does it all, or grapples with fulfilling life's calling. For the past 20 years, the Brahma Kumaris in Washington, D.C. has been a space for any and everyone to enter into and experience one's soul calling. From 1997, the center opened in an old rickety house on Georgia Avenue in Silver Spring, Maryland, where cars and trucks that passed by would shake the space. But when you were inside, it was a peaceful and powerful sanctuary for all who visited. Since then, over 2,500 events, 17 city and nationwide initiatives, 21 awards, 2 meditation museums have served youths, senior citizens, entrepreneurs, scientists, authors, women, interfaith, the disabled, environment, small businesses, arts seekers, and even leaders. Millions of lives have been served, either through social media, the popular America Meditating radio show, or through exhibitions, lectures, partnerships, and programs held in the meditation museums and centers. We look at 20 years of service as a continued journey of love, courage, wisdom, and determination with friends from diverse backgrounds and thought, who believe a better world is possible when we make ourselves better human beings. Meditation is an important tool that helps us to gain greater clarity, insights, and inner power so we can make healthy choices and amplify our capacity to live a full life. In times of great anxiety, insecurity, and fear, meditation is an essential practice for everyone to gain stability and inner strength. Just look at what a few dedicated, purposeful, and kind group of committed people have been able to achieve in 20 years. Thanks to everyone who have supported us along the way. And thanks in advance to those who believe in our work and power of intent. Brahma Kumaris Meditation Museums, where peace is inside.
I'd like to begin with a greeting of peace, Om Shanti, which means Om, I am, and that refers to the inner being, and Shanti means peace, and it's a very beautiful expression to keep coming back to again and again. And in a way, it sums up what is essential spirituality, to be able to know what is essential for my life, which means to know who I truly am, to know the inner being, the self. That's really such an important aspect of being able to live a life in which there's happiness and love. And so often we've moved so far away from the aspects of truth and love and joy in our lives. And so I'd like us to be able to explore some of those reasons why things are the way they are, but also maybe we can find some different perspectives to look at the same story. And once we've been able to look at the same thing from a different angle, then maybe we're going to find some solutions. For me, spirituality is maybe 3 things. Being able to connect with myself once more, which sounds a bit odd, but it's the reality. We're connected so much with the external persona, we forget about connecting with the inner being. And secondly, to be able to connect with the divine, the source, whatever I may know the source to be. But how do I connect and draw what I need within myself? And thirdly, on the basis of these two aspects, to use this inner capacity that's now being developed and to be able to use my inner potential in the best possible way in the work that I do in the world and the relationships that I have with others around me.
Om Shanti everyone, good evening and welcome to your spiritual vaccine. I was just thinking while I was watching the video of Sister Jenna, and just such a beautiful spirit. And then I started to just remember so many of our teachers in the Brahma Kumaris, each one carrying just something so precious that has come from the divine. And I just don't know how God, or we call God Baba in the Brahma Kumaris, I just don't know how Baba does it, where he puts something so special and specific in each one, and no one can be a carbon copy. Same teacher, same mother, same father, but none of the teachers are carbon copies of anyone. Each one is so uniquely designed, offering something so special. Weren't you just loving that, like her fragrance, and just watching the video and knowing that she's been on the journey for almost 60 years in service globally, taking care of so many millions of lives. It was just very touching for me when I was watching it just now, and also seeing the service video of past programs and activities at the Meditation Museum. And maybe because we've been almost locked up for 2 months on the house arrest, on the house arrest, that I'm just having a lot of sentimental memories and moments that are coming up. This morning after our morning class at 6, we did a meditation with the thought and the feeling that we're inside the museum, spreading all of these vibrations of peace and love all around the city and all around the world. And it was just a delight. It was just a delight. We've started doing this from March 16th. March 16th. I remember, Sister Gita, we had gone to California, Los Angeles, on March 12th, on the day of my birthday. And we were going to participate in the Love Button Gala, and we were waiting to see if they were going to cancel, but we hadn't gotten any notice. And by that time, the whole coronavirus had really kind of started. When we had come back from India, we were hearing rumors of corona, but we were still, wearing our masks and gloves. I think Sister Gita and I were the only two on the plane with a mask and a glove. I was just like, why isn't anyone wearing a mask? I was so surprised. But we went to California. We stayed with our wonderful friend, Fujan Zain, Dr. Fujan Zain. Look her up. She's doing wonderful work in therapy and healing and really helping people to get back on track. And she's got a great book out called Life Reset. So look out for her. So we stayed at her home, beautiful home in San Clemente. And that night, the discussion came up that we weren't going to have the program, which was supposed to be on the 14th, on the Saturday. So I was to have come back on the Monday, which was the 16th. And while we were there, Dr. Habib Segedi was a jewel who was the brains behind the big gala for the 14th, where he was bringing together a list of people to come together about love and harmony and healing. And he took good care of me and Sister Gita and Fujan at his medical facility, gave us a whole treatment, complimentary as a gift, on the Friday. And then Saturday morning we decided, let us just come back to DC, right? And Saturday night we got a note from our headquarters that we should close down the centers, but they want to have a meeting first to see how we all thought about it. So on that night, I'm remembering so clearly, on that night of the 14th, after meeting with all the regions, all the centers rather, there was a discussion that we should close it. And one of the big concerns was, but we need to be open for the public. And what happened was, yes, but if we're sick or dying, we will be of no assistance to the public. So we said, yeah, that won't be a good thing, because most of us are kind of aged, you know. Some of us just carry our age a little well. I think Sister Jenna is what, about 65? She's about 65, who you just saw, and even Sister Kala in Peace Village is about 65 or so. I think Sister Mohini is 73 or 74. Like, everyone's like antiquity. Antiques, right? But on the Sunday, we had our last class. And again, last class means for all of the, you know, the transformational agents of our region, of our BK structure. And we had our final session on March 15th. And on March 16th, we started online programs starting from 4 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning. We had one session at 4 to 5, another one from 6:15 to 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then in the evening, we have this, our spiritual vaccine for our community and individuals who have been familiar with the Meditation Museum. And so I was just reflecting after looking at the video, we've come a long way. And I think that one of the most important things about life is that we've got to recognize what we are really here to do. The most important thing for you and I and all of you tuning in is that we need to know, what are we here to do? Why are we here? You know, maybe that's the whole purpose of the soul being in the body at this time, is to really decode and discern, what am I here to do? And have you found that out with all this time that you have in your hands? Have you been able to identify what's the purpose? What's your call? You know, what's your call? Have you found the power in that? Because the minute you recognize what you are here to do, all your powers will emerge to support you. It's when you really don't feel secure and you are influenced by other people, or you're influenced by mainstream narratives that you think you're supposed to be this, you think you're supposed to be that. But no, if you keep turning to God, you will know what your call is. You will know. And even if you come out to be a particular product that's a little bit different than the rest, eventually in time, your self-esteem, your self-worth, and your self-respect will catch up to reaching a point where you will be confirmed. This is who I am, and this is what I was meant to do. Especially when it's an easy flow. That this is who I am. This is what I'm meant to do. So one of the real purpose of our lives is to be able to live from an inside-out perspective, where you're really focusing on, what is it that Baba, what is it that God is signaling you, and only you, and what power does He need from within you to be of service. You might have done things that have been great. You've maybe accomplished many amazing things. But the definition of your life is not based on past accomplishments. It's going to be based on what's next. You know, if you live on what has been great in your past, and that's it, and you don't create any new stories or new ideas, then it won't be that wonderful for you. You know, you'll be kind of thinking, oh, well, it used to be, right, Sister Gita? Don't you always say that? Don't you always say, I used to do this, I used to do that, I used to do this? What do you used to always say? Oh, I used to have these great experiences. In Paramdam, in the Supreme Abode. Your best hangout in Paramdam, the Supreme Abode. Yeah. So it's important to keep asking the self, like, what's my next step? What's my next move in life? You know, what's my next move? Despite all the different things that destiny or the drama or my powers or my qualities have urged or ushered out of me, you must ask yourself, because a person with a great deal of inner power, there's so many strengths that comes with it. But one thing I've identified with a person of great power they're very thankful. They're very, very grateful about the life that they're living because they're utilizing their resources and treasures of great power. They're not regretting. They're not going, I wish it was like this. They're not saying, did you know who did this to me or what happened or what didn't happen? Every failure, every struggle, every test that you and I have received is to make us stronger. And as much as we sometimes don't want to admit it, it's a fact. Just look back at your life. All the challenges, all the obstacles, all the relationships that didn't turn out the way you wanted it. The loss of money, the loss of health, sometimes the loss of your dignity. Did you feel powerful at that time? No. But when you got up, you felt your power, didn't you? Today's sharing is about the power within, and I've been thinking about the 8 spiritual powers that's a part of the Raj Yoga meditation course, and what I'd like to do is to take us through the journey of those 8 spiritual powers. And can I ask you to bring out your pen and your paper from now? Feel free to be ready to text in some thoughts and ideas, because I'll be having an interactive session with you to basically test you about some of your strengths and some of the things that you feel are needed for you at this time to really move forward. So what I'll do is put up the PowerPoint now, and we'll go through them together and see, what is it that these powers really mean to me and you, and how can we understand them. The 8 essential powers that I'm going to explore with you tonight are some base powers of Raj Yoga teachings. They will definitely allow you to master yourselves. It will definitely help you to be aware of your senses, your mind, your awareness, how it works. Although we all possess powers, we don't always use them very well, and especially at the right time. Spiritual powers are the secret tools to understanding the self, to mastering the self more and more, and to change yourself. The powers are the fruits of your meditation practice. And the powers strengthen the mind and intellect such that the soul can pass through any situation in a state of inner sovereignty and wisdom. So, just for 30 seconds, I'd like you to visualize yourself in a state of complete inner power. How does it look? How does it feel to be internally so full of all powers? Visualize it, see it for yourself. What would be my thoughts? What would be my vibration if my spirit reached the stage of being all-powerful, filled with powers and qualities? How would you feel? Take a deep breath and hold that idea in your awareness. And let's take a look at the power to withdraw. When you find yourself needing the power to withdraw, you're usually in a situation that you don't have much control over, of course. It might be at a point where it's so toxic, or it is so uncomfortable that the more you face it or the more you try to challenge it, the weaker you get inside. And when we define the word weaker, we mean we start to serve frustration, anger, jealousy, competition, greed, fear, insecurity, anxiety. Those are energies that makes the spirit weak. That means if a test comes in life, I don't have the inner ability to deal with it, so the test feels like it's even beating me up more. So when we apply the power to withdraw, one of the things that starts to occur is we do become a little bit more introspective. Like I love the little tortoise that Santosh has used. I just love his images that he uses on his programs. But it's like, you become like a tortoise. You just go in. You might even feel a sense of danger. So you go in. And by using the power to withdraw and being introspective, it will enable you to feel a kind of a liberation from what is happening around you. Think about a relationship that's not going your way. I'm not talking about ignoring. Ignoring is different than withdraw. When you withdraw, you are doing it with wisdom, knowing that this energy or influence isn't of service to my greater good or my higher purpose. That's why earlier on I asked you to think about, have you been able to recognize what you really are here to do, what your call is? So the ability to disengage from the world around you is essential, especially now during the COVID situation. You don't want to be so engaged in the news, how many died, who did this, who's not having a job. You don't want your energy to be drained by things you have no control over. So you want to move away from that. You want to disconnect to reconnect to a different place. So you want to learn to withdraw. Sometimes when things aren't going so well for me, when I use the power to withdraw, I do end up in a place of silence. And as I go into that place of silence, I'm thinking, what's going on? What's happening here? And I'm beginning to redirect where I think I really need to channel my energy. So it's also, it gives you the ability to control your attention. Because when you're introspective, you are more attentive on what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and your gut will tell you what you need to do. Okay? Got that, everyone? All right. Let's move on to the next one. The power to pack up. One of the favorite powers from nowadays when people are traveling and they pack up, and now we have this whole thing of not overloading your luggages or you pay a fine. So when you apply the power to pack up, it's sort of saying you don't want to take on board other people's stuff. Like a lot of times if you look at your life, a lot of the stories that you're still holding on to personally has another person involved in it. So it's almost as if you're taking the person's interaction with you. You're packing them with you. You're taking them with you on your journey. But on your journey, you don't need their faces, their names, what they did, didn't do, should have done. So the power to pack up, you travel lightly, only carrying what is essential. What's beneficial for you? Think about it. The ability to leave behind negative, waste, and the past, is that easy for you? Are you able to let go of the negative, the waste, and the past? You see, when you apply that power, then you totally reach a point where you're not letting that old energy feed you. The past, the negativities. It's like you can't change the past. It's already recorded. If you have attended a movie or seen a movie, no matter how much the actors went into that door or drove that car off that cliff or turned their attention somewhere else when a truck was coming and the car hit it, no matter how much you play that movie back to change that scene, you can't. It's already recorded. So a lot of times when you take your thoughts back into the past and it becomes really wastage. It's as if you're taking that with you on your journey. You have packed it into you, but that's not your power. Your power is not to pack waste or the past. Your power is to leave behind. When you use the power to pack up, it's to leave behind what you don't need on your trip towards your greater good, your greater heights. It's also an ability to put a full stop to the things that you must leave behind. Old relationships, old thoughts, old feelings. It's about letting go. And one of the things I like about the power to pack up, the virtue that accompanies it is like renunciation, forgiveness, positivity. You just say, I'm done. I'm done. So, how many of you are ready to pack up today? To use your power to pack up, to leave all that stuff behind that isn't useful for you anymore? Feel free to put it on the comment list so I can see how many of you are willing to say, I'm done carrying the burden of this idea or this load. My days, I talk so much that my throat comes dry. So let's move on to the next one. This power, I've heard a lot of people talk about it. They always feel like it's such a compulsion power, you know, Sister Gita? Like some people will say, how long do I have to tolerate this pain? Like tolerance isn't a virtue or power. Tolerate means I have the inner capacity to deal with what the destiny has to offer me. And you find that when you don't have the tolerance, then you take on board all the crap that comes with it. You know, the people's behavior, the way they treat you, the way the situation is, no matter what you do, it stays the same. And out of compulsion, you feel you have to tolerate. But if you're tolerating out of compulsion, it isn't a power. But if you're tolerating out of love, it's a power. So the power to tolerate is also an act of love. It's the ability to send positive energy when you are the recipient of negative energy. People who are jealous of you, people who don't wish the best for you, people who judge you, people who are critical to you. Let's say it's at a workplace. Let's say it's from a mother-in-law, a father-in-law, a relative. Let's say it's from your spouse. They look at you like you're no good. And you wake up every day looking at their faces and you don't know what to do with it. So when you apply the power to tolerate, you are turning up the volume on your love. It will allow you to respond to their behavior or their situation instead of to react. Okay? Now I want you to pause and think about it. How many times did you need the power to tolerate? In your marriage, at your workplace, with a friend? How many times? And what this power asks of you, turn up the volume of your love. Turn up the volume of your capacity to love. And your self-respect and your patience and your acceptance and understanding and stability, they will all come to support you. So when you choose to use this particular power in a situation that calls for it, your self-worth increases. You see, we're being tested. We're being tested. And the reason why we're being tested in life is because we are born to be powerful. And if for whatever reason you are not living a powerful life, you're missing your mark. Maybe you're focusing on other people. Maybe you're focusing on illusions. Maybe you're focusing in an area that you don't need to be. And so there's such a sense of not knowing who I am or how I'm supposed to be. Is everyone with me so far? Everyone's okay? Comments, please, on Facebook or on YouTube. Yeah, it's a little bit, it's not too deep or heavy for you. So you have to keep thinking, right? Power to tolerate, power to pack up, power to withdraw. These are the powers that you need to apply when you're in the moment. When the moment isn't going right for you, you need to find which power will give me the success that I need. Got it? Power to withdraw, power to pack up, power to tolerate. We've done 3 so far. Now, this is one of my favorites, the power to accommodate. It's where there's a sense within you to just be flexible, like you have the ability to deal with whatever's coming in front of you, right? And there's a kind of a nature about you where there's an understanding, like you're very selective of not taking on the sorrows of other people and situations. So you're very forgiving. And you move on like Dory did in Nemo. Like she just didn't remember whatever happened the last second. Remember that wonderful animation? It's like an ability to adjust to the other person's situation. It's a very empathetic power within you. I'll accommodate him because he doesn't know better. I think that's what Jesus did on the cross in his final words. And he says, forgive them, Father, because they know not what they've done. It's like he accommodated them, knowing that human nature tends to be this way at times. And to what extent have we been like this too? You know, that you've known your husband for so long, you've known your in-laws for so long, you've known your boss for so long. And when we walk with the feeling, gosh, I wish they would change, you're not tolerating and you're definitely not accommodating, but you're storing up a lot of waste and negative thoughts about them, and that's making you weaker. Interesting, isn't it? The power to discern. This is one that's needed in the whole wide world now more than ever. Can I pause here and have you look at this particular power on screen? And I'm going to ask you, do you have the power to discern what's happening in the world around you at this time in your life? It's the ability to discriminate. It will require a very subtle, a very divine intellect. It requires a personality that has a gut sense. It's intuitive. It is connected to high morals. It's connected to principles. It's connected to virtues. When you use the power to discern, when you see a situation or you're in a circumstance, the power to discern goes back to those root powers or qualities, principles, values, virtues, honesty. What's the real story here? So discernment is supposed to take you back to the highest code of conduct in one's life. And that's not hierarchical. We're all here supposed to be loving and respectful to one another. And in your discernment, when you witness someone not being loving or respectful, your discernment will be able to identify that the way where this person is coming from is from a lack of values and virtues. Should I trust what they've just told me? Are they telling me the truth or not? So your discernment starts to capture a deep sense of knowing. It's not judgment. It's discernment. It has a great deal of wisdom with it. So it requires a divine intellect, a lot of inner silence to be able to recognize truth from illusion. There's a lot of purity, honesty, clarity, and truthfulness are the virtues that go with discernment. And a key component of developing all the powers within you. Knowing when is the right time to use a particular power in a particular situation. Say, for example, here's a power here. So the power to judge or the power to be wise requires some decision-making ideas or factors. It enables a balance in your decisions. It creates equilibrium. But the power to judge gives you a sense of knowledge and wisdom. It says this is what it is. You wisely decide what needs to be done. It's very connected to the power to discern, but it kind of makes the decision. The discernment sort of processes it. The discernment gives you a deeper sense of clarity and understanding. But then the power to judge says, this is what you have to do. Got it? So the power to face, this is one of the 8 powers that I miss all the times when I give a lecture. I've given the lectures on the powers so often, and every time I get to power number 7, I'm like, what is the 8th one? I don't know. Only to realize, everyone, that throughout my whole life, this has been my natural power, because it also accompanies the virtue of courage. So, see, sometimes what's in your nature, you're oblivious to it. But what you have to work on, you can identify it very quickly. So the power to face is a great power. And I want you to know that a situation or a circumstance might come in front of you. And instead of maybe using the power to withdraw, you ended up using the power to face, and it created more insanity. And that's why the power to discern becomes a really important power, to really come from an honest place and say, what does this situation need? Should I let this go, or should I face this? So as you play with all of these powers, and I want you to go back to them again and again, after this video, just keep watching it and seeing it, to just identify what relationship you're in right now that requires one of these powers to make them succeed or to make them work. So with the power to face, it helps you to destroy so many obstacles that come your way. Whenever anything is wrong, you don't question nor are you afraid if it's going to happen. It's the ability to accept truth and confront obstacles. It's ability to face even one's own weaknesses. Boy, do I do that. And it will prevent you. Worry prevents one from facing. Right. So if you are a worrier, then you're not facing what you need to address. So you don't want to be a worrier. You want to face. Why am I worrying about this situation? Why am I worrying that maybe I don't have a job? Why am I worrying that I might not get a job in time to feed the family? The power to face will say, well, look, I'm out of a job. This is what we got to do. You understand? It will destroy the obstacles because you have the courage to see what's wrong and what's broken and what we need to do. So the virtues that goes with this one is courage, self-confidence, dignity, patience, peacefulness. A lot of times you might think you go up into someone's face and, the people are like, what? Get out of my face. Not that kind of a power to face. People will do that to you. But you become very peaceful because you're addressing what you need to address. You need to address the issues inside of yourself, and you need to be able to come to grips with them. Yes, sometimes it's not easy to look at your frailties, to look at your limits, to look at your mistakes, to look at your regrets. But if you have the power in you to face yourself, you will find that great accomplishments and great triumphs will come from your ability to be courageous enough to see you as you truly are. And last but not least, this one is so vital in team dynamics, the power to cooperate. It's when you are with a group of folks, they don't necessarily have to be your blood, but you're with a whole bunch of people. You're maneuvering between countries, between languages, between cultures, and you know how to apply this particular power in dynamics of other people. Some of us struggle with this particular virtue because it requires this particular power, because it requires the virtue of humility. Some people find it really hard to work in a team because they have to respect other people's ideas, tolerate a lot, accommodate, move around, change things, do things. And you have to be very humble. And a humble person is a very powerful person. So it's when you're cooperating with others in a group, especially setting, you're able to see someone's highest qualities instead of their weaknesses. You're able to develop the power to accept, acknowledge, and appreciate the person for the work that they do, but also for the way that they show up. And the virtue about people who are very cooperative, you'll find that they're very sweet. They tend to be very practical. I'm remembering Sister Suja. They're very centered. They maintain their enthusiasm. There's an easiness. And I love this about a cooperative person, which I'm now remembering Brother Naveen. They just have a wonderful sense of humor. And they just show up. They just show up. And they want nothing in return but to just be in service. So they're like, they have a lot of respect, and they tend to be the ones that create harmony. So look at these powers for a moment, okay? Take a deep breath. Power to cooperate. On a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, is this one of your strong powers? Let's go back. So check the other powers. The power to face. On a scale from 1 to 10, are you a destroyer of obstacles? Are you able to look at yourself honestly and truthfully? Power to judge. Is there a lot of wisdom in your decision making? Scale from 1 to 10. Where your decisions are solid. There aren't a lot of regrets. Power to discern. Do you carry the deep value of honesty in the way you look at situations to determine, is this fake or is this real? Is this person telling me the truth or are they lying? Your discernment lives from your gut and has this very deep connection to intuition. Power to accommodate. Are you flexible? Are you adjustable? And the power to tolerate. How much more we're going to tolerate lockdown? If you do it with love, it will be a virtue. If you do it without love, it'll be hell. So to what extent on the scale from 1 to 10 have you been able to apply the power to tolerate? Things you have no control over. No control. No control over what the government is doing, as much as we're told they're in service to us. And because of us, they're in power. No control. Once they get in power, you have no idea what they're going to do. Which is why it's so important for you to choose the right one, the right person or candidate to vote for. How do you do it? Look at their track record. Not what they're promoting right now. Look at their track record. Power to pack up. Stop walking around with your past and all the negative experiences that you've been through. That's not what you need to take on your journey. That's not your greatest accomplishment. Not what used to be or what you used to have. That isn't your complete story. Your story wants to do so much more for you. So let go of the past and the waste and the negativity and step into your power. So the power to withdraw is to really just step away from something that doesn't feel very safe. If it doesn't feel safe, it doesn't feel right, if it's toxic, that's not me. I have nothing to do with it. Stay alert, stay inside, stay concentrated, keep yourself going, and you'll be okay. All right? So withdraw, pack up, tolerate, accommodate, discern, judge, face, cooperate. Got it? Did you enjoy that? All right, so what I'll do, because it was a lot, but I want to take us into a meditation from here. And Just take your time to settle in, to just see to what extent do you use these powers. Have you ever been in a situation where you find with yourself, like you said, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that, right? It's not a good thing. So we can remove the PowerPoint now. Because why didn't I have the power to not say what I just said that hurt that person's feeling? But you discovered the power after the situation occurred. Like, oh, I should have done that. So that's how you know the power is there. Because even after the event passes, you go, oh, I should have done this. You see what I'm saying? So we all have the powers, but we need to apply them at the time when they're needed. Let's go into this experiment of this meditation for a while. And when we come back, we can perhaps have a little chit-chat about what these powers mean to me and why they're so vital in your journey to become the greatest success story ever in history. Enjoy.
We're about to go on a journey that enables us to regenerate our powers, our Shakti. We are about to reconnect with the highest source of all beauty, all power, all love. Imagine that you can see on the screen of your mind a tiny star. You might see or sense this. Either is fine. The star is pure light. Be aware of this star. Tune into this star. Feel the frequency of this tiny point of pure light. And now simply transfer your awareness, your sense of self across and into that star, into that light. Feel that you have become the light. Pure freedom, eternal energy. Feel the lightness of being, in being just a tiny point. As you easily, naturally and gently sit in the awareness of being pure energy, it's as if an ancient part of you starts to remember, to connect with the source, the beginning. Tuning in now to this memory as it becomes a powerful ray of pure light, a golden pathway that gently shoots upwards from you, the star, and travels to the source. As you naturally glide with the ease of being light along that pathway of light, you arrive in a world of pure energy, pure, warm, golden red light, vital, yet so calm. Gently, ever so gently, you are pulled to the very core of the source of power. Diving fully and easily into that source. Resting. Feeling. Allowing. Quiet. Natural. Floating in the purity of this gentle power, deeply letting go, allowing. At one, overflowing energy, light, power. In a moment, we're going to make the return journey, knowing that you can always come back, because this is your memory, your relationship with the Source, with God. And so, effortlessly gathering your awareness, bringing with you the memory and the stillness and the power of the Source. Travel easily along your golden pathway, back to the star on the screen of your mind, bringing with you the peace, clarity, and power of your inward and upward journey. In your own time, and when you're ready, become aware of your breathing, your body, the sounds around you. And now bring your conscious awareness back to this room and holding the experience open your eyes.
That was so refreshing. I felt like I was by the shore in Miami, Sister Gita. Wasn't that a lovely meditation, everyone? Did you feel like just by being connected to the source, to the divine, to God, that you could literally feel that all the 8 powers that I've just described to you, that comes from the teachings of Raj Yoga, that you feel that you have it. Again, you find that when you're in a situation that you don't have any control over, you will always have a choice. So, for example, we're dealing with Sister Gita here, and we don't have any power over telling her how to think or what to do or how to behave. So the power that I've been using is the power to accommodate. Now, when I don't use the power to accommodate, then I find that I become frustrated. I lose my peace. I wish that something else would be happening. So I'm not in that place of power, right? So then when I apply that power, then whatever the soul is doing, like now she keeps making noise in the background as we're filming, and poor Santosh is behind the camera saying, "Sister, please be quiet." And she doesn't hear, right? So we have no control over that. So the only power that I can apply now is to accommodate. I have no other choice. Do you understand? So either that or I get up and I wring her neck. I won't do that, right? I won't be able to do that. So again, you'll see yourself in certain situations in time and just in real time, check which power would be needed. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope today you enjoyed the session. And it was fulfilling and rich and convenient for you. Remember, we are here to be powerful beings. And whether we wish to accept it or not, a lot of the choices that we make in our lives is for power. It's just that if we use the vices or we use a lower vibration of intention, then I develop a power based on short-term gains, which is more humanly driven, which is body conscious, which has the whole vibration of ego and attachment to it. And that doesn't give us the power that we really need to succeed. But if we come from the base root of power, which is you and me, we're so much alike. The base root of power is, I want the best for you, and hopefully you want the best for me. And that's what makes relationships tricky nowadays. And I do recommend, find a group of people who support your powers. I'm telling you, don't be around people who tries to drain you from your power because they want what you have, or etc., etc. Find people in your life that will support your base power just as much as you would support theirs. So you have a few questions for me today. The power to accommodate is easier to use if you use the value of acceptance. That's right, Etta. Nice to have you. What about unconditionally loving? Well, you know, Kirit, it's our aim to love unconditionally, but because of attachment, our love tends to still have conditions, which is why there's still issues in relationships. So when you have a connection to the source, it becomes really vital for the soul to keep practicing what unconditional power would feel like. So it comes to that point. Someone's asking, is there a set schedule for these meditation sessions? What does that mean? It comes on every night at 6:30 to 7:30. So in terms of a set topic or program, no, it's all a surprise for you, because we want you to be pleasantly in suspense for the whole day to find out what we're going to talk about. My power to tolerate, Julie says, is fairly high, but I'm still a little bit embarrassed to see my other powers seriously lacking. Woke. Julie, we've been all there. You're not alone. You are not alone. They require a lot of work. And as you find yourself again In situations, it's when you apply the power, not after the situation. It's in situations you will apply the power. Okay? So let's see. I think that's it. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we're going to end here, and I will invite you to apply these spiritual powers on the day-to-day step. But everyone, please find out what you are here for, and start to feel that God is signaling to you how you can use this particular incarnation to live your highest potential. You're going to get distracted if you get into expectation, desires, hurts, the past, comparing yourself with other people. We don't need to do that anymore. Times have changed. You have all the tools. You have all the tools. And all you have to do is change the way you are thinking. Start with, you are a soul and you are here to play out a part. Second thing, God's my source and my everything, the Supreme Being. Connect. Connect, connect, connect. Go back to the session on Experiencing God, Part 1 and 2, to get some clarity on how to establish that deep link. Look, the higher energy, God, is here to remind you of how much of a high part and a profoundly powerful, beautiful part you can play. Don't think your part means you have to have 1 million or 10 million followers to believe that you're living a high part in life. No. It could be the way you are in your job with your co-workers, that everyone feels so touched by your presence. That's a high part. It's better than giving jealousy and anger and negativity and lies and deceit in your relationships. So find out, with the amount of time we have left, what am I here to do? Don't keep lauding over your past accolades. There's a lot more waiting for you to live through, to feel. Accept that all of the test papers that are coming to you, it's because you're not using your powers. When you're using your powers, you're just flowing with your power. And even if the test comes, nothing new. I got this. I got this. Right? So keep Baba's love at the core of your heart. Keep good company. Circle and keep yourself around people who are going places, who have positive dreams, who are serviceable, who help humanity, and also wish to see you shine. You will know who they are. You will feel it in their presence. They will lift you up. And you too must lift up the people around you who are also investing in you. It's a two-way street. And only a person who has these spiritual powers will have that quality inside of them. If you're powerful, you don't want to see people fail. But you don't want to attract people who want to use you without really thinking of supporting you. Right? So you need to keep raising up, but you also need to make sure you have a good network of friends and people in your vortex that support you and that you also are willing to support. I'm sure they're around. There's always going to be one. Anyway, thanks for joining us for our spiritual vaccine. It's always a delight to be with you. Looking forward to being with you tomorrow, and lots of love. Take good care. Om Shanti. All the very best. Stay safe. Enjoy this meditation.
If I had one wish, then what would it be? For each man Some say it's a fool's dream, but I'm not so sure. I see all your faces on my TV, driven and hungry with eyes full of tears, mourning your children, fathers and friends, caught in a war that just never ends. How long will it be till your life is mine, and all I believed in has turned into lies? With all that I am and all that I have, I send you this token, this love from my Oh, I've seen a place much more than a dream, a place of such beauty it hurts just to see, a place of no pain, no crying,